might be wondering why I'm sat in a cat room. It's because I'm here to talk to you about Toxoplasma gondii. Toxoplasma gondii, or T. gondii for short, is a protozoan parasite. There is only one strain and one species with very low genetic variation. T. gondii was first discovered in a gondii in Tunisia in 1908 by Nicolas Mansour. A year later, in 1909, Nicolas Mansour then named it Toxoplasma gondii. It is from the phylum Apicomplexan. It's also from the family Sarcocystidae. The life cycle was unknown until 1970, when it was discovered that felids were the definitive hosts and the oocysts were excreted in the cat's feces. We now know that Toxoplasma sexually reproduces intracellularly in the feline intestinal tract. It can be transmitted via the ingestion of oocysts or the consumption of meat containing cysts. Most infections are benign and asymptomatic, but can be disease-causing in immunocompromised hosts. Now let's talk about the life cycle. Oocysts are passed in the cat's feces and then let out into the environment, where they mature for around 3 to 5 days, a process called sporulation, where they can then become infective. Rodents or other intermediate hosts can then ingest the oocysts from contaminated soil, water, or plant material. After ingestion, the oocysts release tachyzoites, which spread throughout the intermediate host's body, forming cysts within the muscle and the nerves. Cats can then become infected by consuming the meat containing cysts. Humans can also become infected by consuming undercooked meat containing cysts as well. Toxoplasma can identify a single fatty acid called linoleic acid, which the cat produces. So cats lack delta-6 desaturase, the enzyme that catalyzes linoleic acid. This means that linoleic acid sticks around and accumulates. Therefore, the Toxoplasma gondii can detect this, and that's how they know they're in a cat. One of the things that we still don't know is how Toxoplasma can detect different abundances of linoleic acid, so I guess further research will have to determine that. Once inside the intestinal wall, the parasite sexually reproduces into tachyzoites, which are the infective and disease-causing form of T. gondii. The tachyzoites then spread throughout the cat, where the cat's immune system attacks them, causing them to change into their dormant stage, which forms cysts within the muscle and the brain of the cat. The cysts contain bradyzoites, which can multiply within the cysts and go undetected by the immune system. If your cat is showing signs of illness, we can test in the lab for the antibodies. If your cat has a high level of antibodies in the system, this could mean that an infection is present. A definitive diagnosis requires microscopic analysis of the tissue samples to see if there's been any changes within the tissue or if there's the presence of tachyzoites. In order to treat your cat, we recommend using a course of antibiotics. A common one used is clindamycin. Toxoplasma's evolutionary goal is to get into the definitive host, the cat.
But Izzy, how do they do that?
Adaptive behavioral manipulation. Rodents are an advantageous intermediate hosts, as they are small initial hosts that are likely to enhance transmission as they are highly abundant in the environment. Once inside the rodent, it can spread to the rodent's brain, where it can form cysts in the amygdala. Once inside the amygdala, it can affect the dopamine levels within the rat's brain, which makes them less scared of cat urine and more likely to be predated upon by a feline.
This can also affect other species. For example, infected chimpanzees have shown an attraction to leopards and therefore more likely to be predated upon by a feline.
This behavioural change increases the reproductive success of the parasite by enhancing its transmission efficiency.
So Izzy, why are they no longer afraid of cat urine?
Well, this could be because of a few reasons. Firstly, it could be because of an inactivation of a few olfactory receptors important for cat odour detection. It could also be an alteration in the emotional valence of cat odour by rewiring the brain. However, little is known, and future research will tell us more.
Approximately a third of humans are infected with Toxoplasma gondii worldwide. As previously mentioned, most infections are benign and asymptomatic. However, for those that do suffer from symptoms, the symptoms can be acute or chronic. Acute toxoplasmosis can cause chills, fever, myalgia, and fatigue. Chronic toxoplasmosis can cause all the acute symptoms plus other symptoms, including chorioretinitis, which can cause blindness. If a pregnant woman becomes infected, there is a 50% chance of a transplacental infection. This can cause death or serious impairment of the fetus depending on what trimester they are in. The cost of healthcare for people with symptoms can have a huge socio-economic effect. For example, the annual economic impact of T. gondii in the US is $7.7 billion. So poorer countries where healthcare is limited and they don't test pregnant women for Toxoplasma, infection rates continue to be high, and this increases the fetal and child mortality.
Parasites have evolved specific adaptations to exploit their host's resources and evade their immune system. So if your cat may be feeling unwell, take them to the vet immediately, as it may not be a common cold, it may be Toxoplasma gondii.